Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Karissa McCallum. I am an acupuncturist, herbalist, doula, and essential oil lover and educator. I practice out of Family Tree Holistic Health in Arlington Heights near Buffalo Grove High School. And even though we are closed currently due to the COVID pandemic, I am offering telemedicine calls. So if you're interested in what I do beyond stress and anxiety, I would love to connect with you and work with you from afar. So I will give a little bit more background about me at the end. I want to start out with the acupressure portion, which will be about 20 minutes. Then there will be about 5 minutes of essential oil usage and education if you have some, or if you're interested in learning a little bit more about them. And then I will go into my background after that. I do want to put towards the beginning my email if you want to connect with me. It's Karissa, Karissa, at familytreeholistichealth.com, holistic with an H. So let's get started. Usually if you were in my office, I would be using acupuncture needles. They're thin, stainless steel, sterile, single use, all the S's. But today we are able to achieve similar outcomes by using our fingers to press for acupressure points. Even though this medicine is considered alternative or more new age at times, archaeologists have actually found inscriptions describing what acupuncture was like in 1000 BC. So this has been around for over 3,000 years. These acupuncture or acupressure points reside on what are known as channels, meridians, or pathways. And the way I look at everyone's body is a bit like a map. These channels, pathways, meridians are like roads. There are some that run parallel next to each other, like 3 on the inner surface of the arm, and then there are channels that intersect one another. There are 12 primary channels, 8 other channels, over 365 acupuncture points on the body. Now, when I'm working with these points, I like to think about having an action as one of two things. I'm either going to utilize that point to help strengthen something within your body, or I'm going to use that point to help improve circulation or sedate something in the body. So think of it this way, if we're using the analogy of a map. If you are going somewhere for Labor Day weekend, you want to get from point A to point B. You need to make sure, one, that there's not terrible traffic, otherwise it's going to take you a lot longer to get to point B. And you also need to make sure you have enough gas to get in your gas tank, otherwise you're going to be on the side of the road and not getting to point B how you would like. So that's just a little bit kind of how we think about these points and what to use. Again, in this talk, these are all going to be points that help with stress and anxiety, but I'm also going to be talking about other functions that these points have as well. I like to work from the top down when someone's in their head, having a hard time sleeping, really busy mind, because I feel like it helps take the energy from here down. So we'll do some stuff on the head and face, the arms, and also on the legs, especially down by the ankles and the feet. So the very first point that we are going to start with is at the very top of the head. So if you take where the tips of the ears are, follow that up, and then intersect it with starting between your eyebrows and going into the hairline, you will find this point. Now, a lot of times if you feel like you need this point pressed or needled, it will feel a little bit achy to you. And I usually recommend pressing it for a minute or so. You can just press it straight in, you can kind of rotate in a circle a little bit, see what feels good to you. But so while this point is really good for helping when you're feeling stressed and anxious, I use it for other reasons too. If your energy is feeling really low, physically or emotionally you're feeling really low, this is a really nice point to press. I talk about treating the body physically, emotionally, and spiritually, the same with the oils. This is one of the biggest points that I use for the spiritual aspect. Depending what you believe in, it's the closest we've got to heaven, the universe, the sky. So this is a point that I will press if someone's kind of looking for greater connection, greater purpose in life. If you have a headache right here, this is awesome. I'll pair it with a point further down on the body. If you're feeling a little bit dizzy, foggy-headed, not really focused, this is a go-to point. Moving down that center line right between the eyebrows is a point called yin tong. It is wonderful for clarity. If someone is trying to figure something out, but they feel like they just can't, they're missing something, I will utilize this point. It's also great for kind of any headache, sinus stuff in this area, stuffy nose, runny nose. This is a point that I like to utilize for that. If we keep moving down that center line, I'm not going to get too specific with it, but along the sternum, if you work your way down, you'll likely feel an achy point. There is one called chest center. It is beautiful for opening up your chest. Working with patients, I often find that people hold chest in their neck and shoulders, their chest, and or their stomach. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's all three. But really massaging in this area is going to help you make sure that you're getting nice deep breaths, that you're not feeling tense and closed off here. You might even be feeling your heart race, which are known as palpitations a little bit. This is a great point for you to press. And I'll talk about that a little bit more with some other points later too. So anything kind of chest related. Keep working your way down. I'm not going to move the video because I have it on a stand. But if you work your way down the sternum, you'll find that you fall into this really kind of tender area right below. There's a little tip of the sternum. If you take one finger there, with your other hand, find the center of your navel. Kind of break that space up into halfway in between. This is another point on that same channel that lies right over your stomach. So if you're having upset stomach, loss of appetite, or even if you feel like you want to eat all the time, you're a stress eater, this is a nice point to help kind of regulate and balance out what's happening in your body. It's also pretty much in the center of your body. So if you've heard the term feeling more centered, this is a great point to press, which brings me to the ears. We're going to kind of jump back up a little bit. So similar to acupressure points being mapped out on the body, there are reflexology practitioners who have mapped the body out on the feet. There are practitioners who utilize the hands, so like this being the head, these being the arms, this being the legs, internal organs in the middle, and similar with the ear. So the way I learned it was looking at this as an upside down fetus. So this being the head and the sense organs of the face, you have the cervical, thoracic, lumbar spine, you work to hip, knee, foot, and then you have the internal organs that reside in the middle. So I can actually use the ear for a ton of conditions, but today it's going to be that focus on stress, anxiety, and relaxing the nervous system. So if you kind of start at the center, there's this little piece that goes down and falls pretty much right in the middle of your ear. It's called point zero. I think about this as a beautiful point to reset or again feel more centered. If your nails are long enough, I can press in there and really feel that. Nice thing to do would be to press on this point and take nice deep breaths at the same time. There's this little space right here. It's actually a little bit of a triangle, if you can see. Pressing right in there, the name means Shenmen, which is calm the spirit. How beautiful is that for a point to use right now? So that's another point I will press. I'm showing you, but you can do the ears at the exact same time. And like I said, if you're feeling achy in there, you're right on the spot. This is something you can even do if you are, in the car and you're feeling stressed and you're at a stoplight. As long as it's still red, this would be a great point that you can press, the point zero. There's another point that below that triangle, right in this area, if you push in towards the head, this is sympathetic. So in the body, we have the sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight, flight, take action. And then there's the parasympathetic, which is the rest, digest nervous system. So this point helps override the sympathetic and help you feel more relaxed in general. So whenever anyone's coming into my office for stress and anxiety, I will have patients actually asking me for these points. They feel their effects very quickly. All right, so we've done the head and ears, we've done the chest. Now we will go to the wrists. Making sure I'm not getting excited, checking that I've got everything. Okay, cool. So on the inner surface of the arm, if you flex it, you might see a couple tendons pop out. This one's very clear on me. And then there's another one right there. And there's my family in the background. Hi, everybody in the picture. So if you take like a few finger breaths there, come down, you'll fall, I would say even 2 would be good. You'll kind of fall right into that center spot. So this point is on the pericardium channel. So the pericardium is literally the sac that surrounds the heart. In Chinese medicine, we call it the protector of the heart. And this is a great point to press to do anything related to the heart. It's a really nice one to open up the chest. It's also used for any kind of nausea. So anyone who's pregnant, going through chemotherapy, has morning sickness, has seasickness, this is a great point to press. If you've ever heard of C-bands, they literally are pressing right on this acupressure point. So the other one I like on the wrist, just like the point in the ear is called Shenmen, don't worry, you aren't losing it. This one is also called Shenmen. So if you trace your pinky to this little bone on the outside part of your finger called the pisiform bone, and you go in just along that crease, you are going to get to a point called Shenmen, and it means calm the spirit. So any kind of heart issue that you have going on, whether it's emotional or physical, like feeling those palpitations, this is a great point to press. So as you can see now, it's hard to do both at the same time. So you could either do the pericardium point and the heart point on this side and then switch sides, or you could do, pericardium on this side, pericardium on this side, heart, heart. When it comes to acupressure and the essential oils, don't overthink it too much. You're gonna know what your body likes by doing it and practicing. And speaking of practice, I would encourage you to try to do this once a day, depending on how you are feeling. Make it a part of your self-care routine, which is very crucial at this time, figuring out what works for you. All right, so I don't end up getting all funny with the camera. I'm gonna show you 2 points on the leg and foot. One is a little more building and one has more of that sedating function. So if you wanna go a little bit more building first, I do recommend using both of them. There is a point on the inner ankle. So you have that ankle bone and you come just back off of that and then down a little bit near the Achilles tendon. That is where you're going to find this point. It is, I love this point at this time. So in acupuncture, each organ has a physical and emotional aspect to it, physical and emotional for each of the organ systems. So for example, the main emotion tied with the heart is joy, the lungs, grief, the spleen and stomach digestive system, worry, the liver and gallbladder is anger, irritability, and the kidneys are fear. So you may have connected with one or multiple of those emotions as I just said them. I think fear is a very big one right now. So being on the kidney channel, that point I just showed you, the inner ankle, come off of where your ankle bone kind of protrudes, just come back and slide down a touch towards the Achilles tendon and you'll be there. This is a really great point to just help strengthen the resources that you have and feeling confident in what you have. It's really good at dispelling fear and working through fear. And actually this channel, so there's a specific channel right from this point that goes all the way up to the heart. So you have that combination of working with both fear and that anxiety, worry at the same time. So that is a wonderful point. And the last one I'm going to show you is on the top of your foot. It is between your first and second toes. I had a bookmark and I think it just slid in, so give me just 1 second. I just figured it would be way easier to do it like this than to try and lift my foot up, even though I have been really consistent with my yoga practice lately. Okay, so between the first and second toes, you'll see that little crease if you press those toes together. And there's one point right at that crease, but going back a little bit, you'll fall into this place. This is one of the main points for helping with circulation in the body, just moving everything in the body. So if you're sitting a lot and maybe the work you're doing right now literally doesn't allow you to get outside and go for a walk, this would be a point that you can press to just help move the blood flow in your body. It's also a really good point for irritability and anger, and I like it because if you press it in a straight down direction, I think it is so grounding. It connects with a point on the sole of the bottom of the foot, right in the middle. So again, I've talked about this a little bit, but if you're feeling like you are being pulled in a million different directions, your mind is racing, this is a great point to press to help you feel grounded. So similarly, what you could do, especially if you're sitting at your desk or you are taking a little break and you're watching TV, would be to grab like a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball, something that's firm underneath your foot, and rotate the ball underneath it. Just kind of, I don't have one with me, but you just go back and forth over it. Or this is a great time, I haven't said this yet, but you can do these acupressure protocols on yourself, so it's easy to do if you live home alone, but it would be such a nice time to connect and do this with a partner that you live with, a parent, your child. The children, you may not want to press as long because they might not, depending on their age, have the attention span to want to sit through all of it. And pay attention to how they are. It can really shift things for them. Kids are very sensitive. But a foot massage is such a nice thing to do for someone right now, and really has that grounding effect to it. So those are the acupressure points for stress and anxiety that I love most. I'd love for you to try them out. Please do give me some feedback on how you feel when you do that. And so now we are going to pull onto, I don't know why I said pull. I'm feeling pulled too. Wrap up here, I guess, and we will get into the essential oil portion. So I think this should take me about 5 minutes. I finished that one a little bit early. I probably talk faster when I'm actually recording. Maybe I'll wave when I'm done if I remember. So if this part isn't applicable to you, but you are curious how I got into what I do, then you can forward to that at the end. But so similar to acupressure, essential oils have been around for a very long time. They are saying maybe as early as 4500 BC. They have found distillation pots in Egyptian tombs. There are over 180 references to essential oils in the Bible, and there are over 13,000 articles talking about essential oils if you go to PubMed. So it's not just for beautiful smells, there are medicinal effects to them. I'm going to do like a little bit of like the quick kind of what, why, how for essential oils, and then I'll tell you the ones that I really love. So they are derived from parts of the plant. It could be bark, leaves, roots, flowers, peels, and they are actually a volatile substance. So if you were to leave the cap off of your essential oil bottle, they will ultimately evaporate. They are very potent. They are the most pure and potent part of the plant. So even though sometimes we have that go big, go home mentality, these are actually a little bit goes a long way. Just like I mentioned earlier a bit about acupuncture, they benefit all systems of the body. So that's why I love both of these modalities. Today we're talking a bit, about emotional, but there's cardiovascular, digestive, respiratory, endocrine, which is our hormones, etc., etc. These can all help with that part of the body. And you might notice as you're working through this acupressure protocol from earlier, that as you're feeling more of a sense of calm, there are other things that shift in your body as well. I kind of, mentioned it, but you might find yourself sleeping better, having better digestion, a decrease in pain, because we're just moving and help supporting that body from the core. And then there are other positive manifestations that come from it as well. So like I said, they've been around for a long time. People are seeking more natural solutions to things, whether it's that they had a bad reaction to a medication that they're taking, or they just want to explore something that they feel like can support their body before any symptoms may arise. Essential oils are great in that. They are wonderful for emotions. Our sense of smell is tidally strong with our emotions. So it's just like, if you can think of an example. So for me, my grandma made chocolate chip cookies a ton. I can think of them exactly for me and my sister and my papa growing up. And so whenever I'm in a bakery or I'm, smelling kind of that similar smell of chocolate chip cookies, I immediately think of her and think of my childhood. So this is a nice time where you can find certain smells that you like, and have an intentional pairing of really deep breathing, doing something relaxing. So when you're not feeling relaxed, you can just smell that oil and kind of be taken back to what you've been doing to help you relax. Whether it's taking some time to journal, taking a nice bath, writing someone that you love a letter, then all these positive feelings start filling your body. So there are three. I could talk about this for so long, so I'm making sure I follow a little bit of an outline so I don't go into a whole class on this. There are three ways to use essential oils. There is aromatically, so just meaning smelling them or utilizing them in the diffuser. There is internally, adding them to a water, a capsule, baking or cooking with them. And then there's topically, applying them to the skin. So in general, you want to use a carrier fatty oil with your essential oil. So there are lots of options. Coconut, jojoba, avocado, apricot kernel. You can even use a lotion. So any of those kind of oils, you can look it up if your skin is sensitive, kind of which ones are best for your skin type. But there are a lot of different options. I tend to have olive oil and coconut oil always in our house, so those are pretty easy ones for me to use. But applying them to the skin, remember the skin is an entire system, the integumentary system in the body, so the skin will absorb the oils and have the benefits. Now, I'm telling you today how to use them on acupressure points, but because it's absorbed by the skin and circulated through the body, it doesn't necessarily matter where you place them. I just like the intention of where you're putting them. So similarly, if you're working on something for your lungs, it's nice to put on your chest and upper back. If you are utilizing something for digestion, rubbing it over your belly just kind of makes sense, right? You're nurturing, you're loving on that area. The body does metabolize essential oils out every 2 to 3 hours, unlike a prescription medication that you might take once a day or twice a day. So go ahead and keep utilizing those oils, especially in times of stress or anxiety, or maybe you even find yourself wanting to switch them up. So the first one I'm going to talk about is lavender. It's considered the Swiss Army knife of essential oils, and the reason so is it has so many uses. I think it's a very familiar smell to most. You'll find it in bath salts or eye pillows for headaches, trying to sleep, but not everybody likes lavender. Like I said, it's meant to be really peaceful and calming, but you know, the more and more I talk about oils, I get that that's not everyone's jam, for lack of better words. So I have a variety of a few different smells. One that I am really loving right now is orange. I don't know if it's just because it's familiar, if it's because it's bright, but there's, you know, that familiar, bright, fruity, to me, very uplifting and comforting smell. Some people also talk about citrus as being really good for promoting or enhancing creativity. So if you're sitting down and working on something that requires a little bit of creative juice, I think orange is a really nice one to use. The next one I have, a very different smell, is frankincense. Now, when it comes to essential oils, this is the one that I think of when I think about spiritual. I mean, it's literally used in spiritual rituals. It is made from the resin of the tree, and when I think of trees, oils that come from trees, I think of strength. I think of grounding. I think of these huge trees that have these deep roots into the ground that no matter what, I mean, something can knock it down, but it's going to take a lot to knock that tree down, right? It is standing tall. So I love frankincense for that. This is one that I would use, you know, on the points closest to the sky, so in between the eyebrows, the top of the head. But these oils you can use at any of the points we discussed. Or you can just kind of put it on, if you put it on your wrists and put it on your neck like perfume, you're going to hit some of those points that I talked about. And then there are a couple of blends that I like. The first one actually has lavender in it. It is called Stress Away. It also has cedarwood, a woodsy oil, lime, Acupressure, and a little vanilla. So Stress Away, that's just it. Like I said, it's so much about finding a smell that you gravitate towards. I love that it has vanilla in it. I'm a sweet kind of girl. My mom used to say that I would smell like a chocolate chip cookie if I could. Man, it's because I love my grandma so much. But the other one that I have is Peace and Calming. It's a little more citrusy. Maybe because I've been liking orange, I've been using this one a lot. Kids tend to really love this one. It's got tangerine in it and the orange. It has ylang-ylang, which is floral, really good for relaxing. Patchouli, which is a descending oil. People do feel very hit or miss about the scent of patchouli. And blue tansy. Blue tansy is a flower. I love blue tansy. It is blue tansy. So it actually gives this one, it's a little more greenish, but you might be able to see there's a little bit of a color to it, so it can stain. Blue tansy in and of itself is just straight blue, but I love it. So that's what I want to talk about oils wise today. Some of my main recommendations. They're, depending on what company you use, do make sure you do your research and find a reputable company. I use Young Living, but there are other companies that make good quality products out there too. Remember, if it is, or not remember, I haven't told you this yet, but if there's an expiration date on it, if it's something like peppermint and it tells you you can't consume it, you should be able to consume peppermint, right? Or if it's really, really cheap compared to other places, you're pretty much guaranteed that it has been diluted with something else, or there's a lot of artificial fillers in there to make it smell nice but not really have therapeutic effect. But that's something we can talk a little bit about now. So I'm going to wave. I remembered it. I'm going to wave to finish that part up and talk just a little bit about how I got into this medicine. So I actually grew up wanting to be a pediatrician. I don't remember ever wanting to do anything else. I did love, my sister's younger than me, I did love to play school and have her be my student, but truly I always wanted to go into medicine. I went to Northwestern University undergrad, and once I started pursuing that path, I really began to question it. And I ended up switching my focus, and I majored in human development and psychological services, which I absolutely loved. They were smaller classes, a lot of discussion, really cool topics. When I graduated though, I still didn't know. Essentially I had a variation of a psychology degree, which is versatile. I was considering nursing, psychology, nutrition, something kind of exercise science, getting a personal training certification, but I felt inspired to teach. I was really grateful for my education, and I assistant taught preschool, kindergarten age in the city for a year, not having a teaching certification. So bless you to all of the teachers. I gained a ton of respect for teachers and what all they navigate on a daily basis, and I knew that that was not what I wanted to do full time. Thankfully, I ran into someone that I graduated from Pacific College of Oriental Medicine with. She was we later graduated from there together. We went to Northwestern, and then she told me she was at Pacific College. And I said, "What are you doing these days?" And she said, "I am studying East Asian medicine." And I was kind of like, well, what's East Asian medicine, right? The pre-med dropout in me heard the word medicine and was intrigued. So we got together, and she talked about using acupuncture, herbs, dietary and lifestyle recommendations to help treat current symptoms and also to help support the body to maintain health. And I loved it. Yeah, there's the physical and emotional piece of it, so I felt like there was that emotion aspect that I was really interested in. I love that I have the autonomy to choose which treatment I have for my patients, but I spend enough time with them in the beginning talking to them, and I get to know them throughout time. So sometimes I know what they need without them even telling me, or maybe they just aren't really ready to talk about something, but knowing them, I can pick up on what they need. So I graduated from there in December 2012, so that tells you how long I've been practicing. And then the doula piece came in because one of my friends, so a doula is a support person to birthing families, and one of my patients who became a friend asked me to be her acupuncture doula. She told me that she didn't need me to do any training, she just loves how relaxed she gets during acupuncture, and she wanted me to be there to support her. Looking back, I've always been interested in birth and babies, and I was so honored to have the opportunity, but wanted to do the training just because I was curious. So I did that in 2016 and went to my first birth in 2016. And then the oils piece came in because as much as people are often intimidated by hearing the offer of Chinese herbs, they are simple things that we find in our medicine cabinet. They are ginger, peppermint, cinnamon, clove. The only thing with these medicinal formulas coming from nature is they don't always taste great. They literally taste kind of like dirt sometimes. I think once you take them and you see the effects, you get used to them drinking those teas, but it's not everyone's cup of tea, for lack of better words. So I got into essential oils because I found, one, I understood them really quickly, but also that I can use them on my children, I can use them with my patients, and the compliance, meaning actually utilizing them to benefit your health, was much greater than some of the other recommendations I was having. It felt really easy to smell an oil when they were feeling stressed, or to put some essential oils in their diffuser before they went to sleep, to aid in what I was doing during treatments. Gosh, I feel like I can talk to you guys about so much more. This is truly a huge passion of mine. As you see them back there, I should say, I'm married to Patrick. We've been married about, 6.5 years. Our oldest, Ileana, is not quite 6. Lydia turned 3 on St. Patrick's Day, and our son Lennox is going to be 1 on Easter Sunday this year. So a lot of loves of my life in this space right now as I'm sharing this with you. I hope you enjoyed what you learned. I hope that you took with this some things that you can utilize, and I hope that you are finding some downtime and some gifts with this time that you are given for right now. Please connect with me. I would love to hear from you. I hope you have a great rest of the day.